Hello, and welcome to this informational video on job searching as an international student. Job searching as an international applicant presents its own unique challenges, so the University of Georgia Career Center developed this video to provide you with some tips, resources, and support during this process. After watching this video, if you would like further clarity on certain areas or would just like to sit down with someone in our office, we encourage you to come to the Career Center for help. We are located in Clark Howell Hall. You are welcome to attend drop-in hours every weekday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for brief questions. But if you would like to enjoy spending more time with the career consultant specifically designated for your major, I encourage you to call our front desk to schedule an appointment. We do host international student drop-in hours once a month in Memorial Hall, so you can keep up with those dates and times on Handshake or our Career Center website. Here are the topics we will cover in this video. We will start with a little information on resumes and cover letters, then move on to how you can best use that resume and cover letter to help you achieve your goals more efficiently and effectively. We'll then share some tips on how to organize the many moving parts of a job search. We will offer networking recommendations and strategies, and then conclude on good places to look for a position. The most obvious and most powerful tool when searching for a job is going to be your application materials, your resume and your cover letter. The Career Center is happy to review your resume and cover letter, so please bring it in for review when you are ready. These are some good general tips for resume formatting. We encourage you to avoid using templates as much as possible, as many of them are very constraining and they don't utilize the space on the page very well, or they can limit how you can customize the formatting. They also sometimes contain hidden charts, which if your resume is ever scanned in an applicant tracking system, the charts and boxes can sometimes confuse the system, resulting in your resume being passed over. We have templates on our website, career.uga.edu, underneath the job search tab that we have designated and designed if you are interested in viewing those. If you are an undergraduate student, a single-page resume is typically standard. If you are a master's or PhD student, a multiple-page resume or CV may be appropriate given your field and your experience level. You can adjust the font size and the margin size to assist you in getting to one page. Visual appeal is important on a resume, and this is achieved through intentional use of bolding and italics to differentiate on the resume, as well as through consistency, meaning if you choose to use periods throughout your resume bullets, having a period at the end of all of them. If you bold the company title, bold all the company titles. A resume should also be skimmable, and this is achieved through bullet points that start with a verb instead of full sentences or paragraphs. To see examples for your resume, as well as a whole host of other great career information, such as interviewing, professional dress, career fair preparation, applying to graduate school, we encourage you to check out our career guides. Our career guides can be found on our website, career.uga.edu, underneath the Resources tab, and then under Career Guides. I did want to briefly note the difference between a business resume and a creative resume. In most industries, the resume on the left is going to be your go-to. This resume may not be flashy, but it utilizes space well. Information is provided where the reader's eye is expecting it to be, and it is effective in describing your experience to the employer. If you submitted the resume on the right to an accounting firm, technology company, or any other business-related job, it would likely stand out for the wrong reasons. The resume on the right is what we call a creative resume. If you are going into a creative job, maybe graphic design or art, this type of resume is much more acceptable as it highlights your creativity. In the United States, adding a photo to a resume is extremely rare. An employer does not need to know what you look like when reading your resume. In some situations, the employer can't know what you look like as it introduces bias into the process. If they really wanted to know what you look like, they can always check out your LinkedIn or Handshake profile. A photo on your resume takes up necessary space and opens you up to potential bias, so we would recommend removing your photo from your resume if you currently have one. I did also want to explain the difference between an objective statement and a summary of qualifications, as this can sometimes be a bit confusing. These are both optional sections of your resume, so don't feel like you need to provide either of these if you don't want to. If you do have one, it belongs at the top of your resume underneath your heading. An objective statement describes your goal. This can be very helpful when attending a career fair or networking event to communicate to the reader what you're looking for. It can be less effective when you're applying online for a specific role, as your objective is clearly to get the role from which you are applying for. So an objective statement can go on or come off your resume as needed. A summary of qualifications is a short description of your most relevant qualifications. Think of this as your resume thesis statement. If your resume is long and you are worried the reader might not have the time to read it or miss some of the important aspects of it, you can list this information at the top of your resume in a summary of qualifications. This can also be titled Professional Summary. A cover letter is a business letter written to the employer that explains why you are qualified and a good fit for their open position. It accompanies your resume when you apply for a job. While your resume is an overview of your experiences, a cover letter directly addresses how those experiences have qualified you for the role, so that there is no miscommunication regarding your qualifications. The most important aspect of the cover letter is the thesis statement. For example, my experience in this and this have directly prepared me for this role. The rest of the cover letter is an explanation of that thesis statement. If the employer doesn't ask for a cover letter, you don't have to provide one, but the Career Center highly recommends that you do. A cover letter is an extra step that will impress an employer and essentially double the amount of information they have about your qualifications. It is an easy way to stand out against other applicants. A good cover letter is unique, tailored to the position. You can tailor your cover letter by changing the company information and position title, adding specific information about the company, and directly addressing the position description alongside your qualifications. Rest assured that you do not have to completely start over every time you need a cover letter. Some of the information will remain the same. Once you have a good resume and cover letter, I want you to be aware of strategies on how to use them most effectively. Here are the National Association of Colleges and Employers list of career readiness skills. After a lot of research, this organization has designated these skill sets as great skill sets to have when going into the workforce. Therefore, employers will be looking for these skills in your job search. I recommend gaining experience in these areas and then communicating this experience on your resume. Note that global and intercultural fluency is one of the career readiness skills. As an international student currently studying in the US, it is very likely that you have this skill set. Its description is someone who can value, respect, and learn from diverse cultures, races, ages, genders, sexual orientations, and religions. Someone who can demonstrate openness, inclusiveness, sensitivity, and the ability to interact respectfully with all people and understand individuals' differences. Why is this so valued? As technology, communication, travel, and global business has increased, this is extremely valuable to be able to work effectively with people from different cultures and different backgrounds. So as an international student, you may demonstrate pretty consistently a lot of the skill sets listed here. For example, you may be able to speak multiple languages. You have experience adapting to a new cultural environment. You problem solved and remained resilient when working through the paperwork that it took to get to the United States. So in your job search, I encourage you to market yourself in these ways. When I say market yourself, I don't just mean to list these words on your resume. A stated skill without any proof does not hold a lot of weight in the eyes of an employer. Instead, put this information in your bullet points with an example. For example, instead of saying that you are organized, within a bullet point about a team project you worked on, you might say something like, developed a weekly agenda and delegated tasks to team during meetings. Task completion is tracked and documented through a self-created task management spreadsheet. This better proves to the reader that you are, in fact, organized. Using numbers and describing the impact of your action makes an effective bullet point. Speaking of organization, it is very important to stay organized in the job search. Why does this matter? There are many moving parts to the job search. Every company will work off a different timeline, so you could be applying to one while going to the career fair to see another, while interviewing for another, etc. You will meet a lot of people, be keeping track of a lot of deadlines, and trying to remember all of this is nearly impossible. This can lead to mistakes, such as sending one company the wrong cover letter or missing a deadline. We would recommend having a job search folder that looks something like this. It has the different companies in different folders. I'm going to show you what this tracking template looks like. A tracking template can help you stay organized and keep track of your interactions, deadlines, and application requirements. As you can see in this example, there's the organization's name, the recruiter's contact, how I met them, notes from our conversation, if I followed up with him or her or not, when the application is due, when my interview is scheduled for, etc. I can sort this spreadsheet in order to know what applications to prioritize. Having all the information here in one place can help the search feel much less chaotic. If I go back to my job search folder and click on the specific company, I have the position description and my cover letter saved here. This helps me from making a mistake when applying and submitting the wrong cover letter. It is also important to save the position description. Sometimes when an application deadline passes, the position description is no longer accessible online. They might take it down. The position description will be helpful to refresh your memory of what the role is and what they are looking for when you were called in for an interview. Okay, networking. Networking is very important in the job search. The strong majority of positions are filled by networking. So let's learn a little bit more on why that's the case and then some great networking practices. So there is the hidden job market, meaning companies know they have an opening before they post it online. There's an opportunity here for you to be remembered or noticed for the first time and hired before that position is ever posted on the internet. Let's say that position isn't filled by someone the employer knows and they do post that position online. What makes you different than the giant piles of resumes that the recruiter will get? This is especially true if you are applying on a really large public job board like LinkedIn or Glassdoor, as they get a really high number of postings. A brief FYI, this is why applying on Handshake is a good strategy, as Handshake has a smaller applicant pools than a larger public platform. Statistically, your chances are better. Regardless to what job board you're applying on, you have an advantage if you have had other positive interactions with the employer. And this idea ties into something called company risk avoidance. An employer doesn't like to hire someone that they don't know, similar to how you don't want to invite someone into your home that you don't know. There's a lot of risk associated with that. You are much more likely to invite someone into your home if you know them, or if someone you know advocates for them. So that's who you want to be. You don't want to be the stranger, you want to be someone they know, or someone who comes with the advocacy of someone they know. I suggest accomplishing this through something called an informational interview. We have a little information on informational interviews in the career guide, but it is essentially a conversation with someone within your field or goal company. I would encourage you to use LinkedIn. If you have a LinkedIn account, you can search through many UGA alum by using the LinkedIn Alumni tool pictured here. To get here, search the University of Georgia in the search bar to get to UGA's official LinkedIn page. Then click on the Alumni tab to the left. I can filter the alum by general location, company, industry, and major. If I wanted to work for Microsoft, it would be a good idea for me to get to know a UGA alum that works for that company. Or if I wanted to become a graphic designer, I might search for keywords graphic designer and find a UGA alum who is in that position regardless of company to reach out to. You might say something like, "Hello, I am a student at UGA and I'm interested in pursuing graphic design. I would love to learn more about the graphic design field from someone who's currently in it. Would you allow me a short phone conversation?" You wouldn't ask this person for a job, but just for their expertise. The information they give you will be very helpful, but you also have now established someone you know within that company who could potentially advocate for you. Okay, if you now feel comfortable on how to apply for a job, there are a few places I encourage you to look. As mentioned before, Handshake is an excellent job board. Postings on Handshake are from employers who are specifically looking for UGA students. The applicant pools are much smaller, and the required experience may be more in line with a graduating college student as compared to someone with multiple years of experience in the field. If you want to search within the US, I would recommend going on My Visa Jobs to get information on which employers have sponsored an international candidate in recent years. If you are hoping to job search outside the United States, the resource Going Global may be of interest to you. Going Global has an international job board as well as what they call country career guides. For example, if you wanted to job search in Germany, the country career guide for Germany would tell you what a German resume looks like and other great information like what some cultural advice would be for living in Germany. You can get access to this resource for free by going and entering your 81 number on the Career Center online resources page. So what do you do if you are at a career fair or networking event and the employer tells you that they just don't hire international students? This can be very discouraging, but I encourage you to do these 3 things. I encourage you to continue to market yourself to the employer. Explain how you are an excellent candidate, maybe even mentioning how your international experience is an advantage to their team, as explained earlier in this video. If they still decline, Remain respectful and thank the employer for their time. Just because they're not hiring now doesn't mean they won't be hiring in the future. So you want to maintain the relationship with the employer and have them remember you positively. Lastly, some employers may not be well versed in immigration, so they may be more likely to say no as they are not familiar with what that process is like. Therefore, I encourage you to be educated on the sponsorship process so you are ready to inform and ease the potential concern of the employer if necessary. Lastly, that brings us to Immigration Services and the Office of Global Engagement. If you have not already, I highly encourage making an appointment with Immigration Services. They can inform you of the options that you have in regards to OPT, CPT, H-1B, and so on. If you are hoping to remain in the U.S. post-graduation, your immigration advisor will be a great ally for you. Thank you for watching and learning more about strategies and resources when job searching. If you have further questions, make an appointment with your career consultant for information more tailored for you and your industry.